a lot looser than I would expect, but it's getting better.
I think it might be time that I up my force feedback.
These drivers are ready to get lucky and test their luck here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Welcome to KBRN's live coverage of round 2 of the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway down here in Las Vegas, Nevada. With Kelan, Belsha, and Charlie Baier in the booth, my name is Kenneth Bueno, and after a chaotic race down in Daytona, we move to the first 1.5 miler of the season. What is there really to expect knowing that there's a blank slate going into a 1.5 miler?
Well, Kenneth, this is gonna test a bit of skill here at this 1.5 miler racetrack. You know, the super speedways are always kind of a shootout, but as we shift to kind of the more intermediate tracks, we'll see some more strategy. We'll see some more tactics with lifting and braking points. So it'll definitely be a shift for these drivers straight from a super speedway race, and I can't wait to see how it all turns out.
Kelan?
Oh, well, I mean, well, it's going to be a lot different than the Super Speedway last week. As Charlie said, they were just flat on the gas, wide open. Today they're going to have to learn how to move their feet around on those pedals. Going to learn how to have to manage their tires throughout the corners. It's going to be a long day, 80 laps. I'm excited for it. Should be a fun race.
Yes, sir. 80 laps here set to run at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And Las Vegas is the first of just a handful of 1.5 milers we'll see throughout the season. Of course, next week we move down to the ISM Raceway, the Phoenix Raceway, the shorter track. But then we head down to Atlanta, Homestead. There's Texas within the mix, and then there's tracks, and then it's just all the way up until the All-Star race at Charlotte. And knowing that this is the first 1.5 miler, especially here, this is kind of a different sort of track compared to tracks like Atlanta, tracks like Homestead, tracks like Texas, which have different kind of configurations. Is there something different or something special that you have to approach Las Vegas with, or is it just kind of a general consensus when it comes down to these races?
Well, like I said, it's definitely going to be a shift, and you know, it's going to be an exciting one for sure. As we see, Blaze McKinney currently has the fastest qualifying time, but it's going to be an exciting one for sure, Kenneth.
You talked about the differences between this track and different 1.5 tracks. That turn 4 wall, it likes to come at you right here, so you're going to have to exit that corner perfect. That's gonna be one of the bigger challenges compared to another different 1.5 miles that we'll see today. It's a challenging track, but I think these drivers can take it on and put on a good show.
Yeah, of course. In Las Vegas, especially down in the sun here for tonight, we're running an afternoon session, so that'll mean these drivers will have to kind of battle a slicker race car than they would with some of the other tracks down in Atlanta and Texas, especially Homestead, where tracks would probably run later in the day. And you see some of these drivers already gaining their laps in. Blaze McKinney currently tops the board, 42 of Williams. Paul Granada down in 3rd place, and the rest of the field files in, as you see on the top of your screen. There's just about 14 minutes left in qualifying. There's a pretty long qualifying session. We usually run around 5 minutes or so, but apparently these drivers just want a little bit more time to get their qualifying in. It's more of an open qualifying session compared to what we've seen, to what we see usually single car qualifying. Is there somewhat an advantage going with multiple car qualifying, or?
Oh yeah, with multiple car qualifying, you can definitely utilize the draft off of other people. So if you get behind someone and you're lucky enough, you can definitely use that draft and use it to better your laps. So obviously draft does speed you up if you get behind another car when they're going fast enough. You definitely it comes into effect. You kind of have to be on the racetrack to experience it, but yeah, it's definitely different, and it's just one way to get a better lap here.
Yes, of course. And just a little bit more info about the Las Vegas Motor Speedway and the venue that we're heading to tonight. Of course, Las Vegas Motor Speedway is located just outside of the main city, Las Vegas, Nevada. Opened back in 1972 as a drag strip and a road course, but was converted to a 1.5 mile oval, which we see today in 1996. Started the NASCAR Cup Series with the Penzo 400. Of course, they run the Xfinity Series, the Gander RV, and Outdoors Truck Series. Currently, they run the NHRAs, and they run the Baja trucks as well here at Las Vegas. So a very interesting venue here tonight, and especially in such a city like Las Vegas, where there's a lot of stuff going on. You know, there's a lot of partying, there's a lot of gambling, there's a lot of different different types of things you can do here at Las Vegas, and what better way to come down here and watch a race down here.
Oh yeah, definitely, and the sentimental value of this venue and this city is unmatched. So, you know, it's definitely a famous place. A lot of guys want to win here, especially in real life. But yeah, famous track, famous place, famous venue. So it means a lot to these guys.
All right, well, qualifying is just about wrapping up. Seems it's got the last driver who set their lap, and we'll get the grid completely set for tonight's event. 80 laps here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Sure to be an exciting race, especially to see how these guys drive and how these tires work in this run. They have a long green flag run, or what type of things they do have. But so far, the grid is now lining up, and that means we can get to your starting lineup for tonight's 80-lap event. Jackson Steiner lines himself on the pole for tonight's event. Actually, no, never mind. That is... I apologize for that. That was just a little bit of mix-up on the ticker, but we'll get to the starting lineup. Blaze McKinney with the fastest lap of 29.818 lines up first. Cole Williams in the 42 starts just to his outside, running a patriotic team this week as well.
Starting up behind him in row number 2, we have Paul Granada starting in the 3rd spot behind our pole sitter Blaze McKinney, and to his outside we have the 14 car of Michael Kenner.
In row 3, we got Richard Mandonka in the 46 starting in 5th, and Colby Wells in the 4 car starting in the 6th.
Lining up row number 4 will be the 26 of Eli Quinn, who had an up and down night at Daytona last week. He's looking to get a better finish tonight and a better race, as well as Hunter Ellis, who ran very consistently last week but just couldn't get it done. He rounds out on the outside of row number 4.
And in row number 5, the 24 car of Logan Hartman starting in the 9th position, and to his outside Jaden Lawson. That 76 car had a strong race at Daytona but didn't end very well, so he's looking for a rebound week this week. And that'll round out your qualifying field for tonight. So as we wait for these cars to start pacing here, Kenneth, what are your expectations for today?
Well, what I'm looking for, Charlie, is mostly this run. I know that the tires seem to wear out a lot here. I know that the bottom is predominantly the best line around this racetrack, but I feel like if we get a longer green flag run, or we might see some drivers kind of extend out maybe higher to the middle of the racetrack, we might see some guys get a run higher up on the racetrack than the guys running all the way to the white line. So that's something that I'm really watching when it comes down to Las Vegas. Kelan, what are your kind of expectations going into this event? What kind of things are you looking for?
Well, it's just it's a 1.5 mile track. It's going to be it's all about consistency. You got to be consistent. You got to manage your tires to the best of your ability. Because if you don't manage tires, you're not going to be fast over a long run. And with a small field like this, I wouldn't expect too many yellows. So I think this is going to really favor Blaze McKinney. If he gets started off and fired up to a decent lead, he can take his time up front, and he'll just he could be in control of this race and control of everybody else as everybody hunts him down. So it's all about management. Be conservative with your stuff, and then go for it at the end.
Yes, sir, and Blaze McKinney in his debut race in the LWRC tonight, running that Chris Lilly Designs number 87 Chevrolet Camaro, which we saw took the victory last week in the iRacing Plunge and Lawn Care Series. Do we expect to see some more domination from him tonight?
Oh yeah, definitely. Blaze McKinney is one of the most experienced drivers here, and you know, I wouldn't doubt that car stays out front. So yeah, he's definitely my pick for today, so it's going to be an interesting one for him.
All right, 2 by 2 by 2 all the way down the field lines up. The pace car is ready to roll off, and we are ready to go green here on KBRN for 80 laps here at Las Vegas for race 2 of the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series. Pace car rolls off, and we'll take the green flag for the first time from Las Vegas. Green flag is out. The field will spread out as they go down the start-finish line for the green flag.
And fanning out a little bit going to turn 1, but Blaze McKinney does have the lead so far with the advantage, but 95 of Paul Granada coming up to his rear bumper.
Granada, you see the field spreads out so widely. You see the 4 and the 46 down low trying to make something happen. The 14 3 wide for just about 3rd place, 4th place behind them. But Blaze McKinney continues to see somebody down in the grass. Not sure who that is, but they're kind of down in the grass. Looks like they'll be able to say that's the 46 of Ricky Mandonka makes his way down, but Blaze McKinney continues to lead them as they come off of turn number 2.
Yeah, and Kobe Wells sliding himself into the picture there. Got a little loose off the corner, down towards the apron, but clear for positions 1 and 2. Here comes Paul Granata peeking down to the inside, but so far Blaze McKinney is the class of the field so far.
Paul Granata continues to peak for that race lead. He's looking for every possible advantage that he can get on that 87, but so far has not found it on the racetrack. But he's getting very, very close. He could make a move down to the bottom. He is right on the back bumper coming down the back straightaway, side by side. They're almost 3 wide behind the 2. But Paul Granata looks down to the inside. He will take the race lead. The 14 of Michael Kenner will also follow suit. And Blaze McKinney's down, stuck on the high side off of 4.
Yeah, and Blaze McKinney got shuffled back a little bit. He's falling back. Now, the inside line here is a big advantage because those outside cars will fall back and the inside cars will shuffle up. So Blaze McKinney already fell 3 spots, and he might fall even further back. But back up front, Paul Granata does take the race lead here with the 14 car. Michael Kenner not too far behind.
The last thing I really expected coming into this race was to see Blaze McKinney get shuffled out of the lead. I expected him to, really control this race for a lot of the early laps. You know how good he is, but maybe he's being conservative, and these guys are just pushing the envelope in front of them, and they're trying to distance themselves from there. As the 14 of Kenner's looking all over Granata's back bumper, trying to go for the lead.
Blaze McKinney falls back to 4th place, now side by side on the back straightaway. Here's a move for the race lead. That's the 14 of Michael Kenner looking all the way down to Paul Granata for the race lead. They're still side by side. But look at Kobe Wells. He could find the opportunity, and he's trying to seize it down as they believe the 3 wide down the front straightaway. Almost into turn 1 they go.
And he'll back out of it, get back clear of the 14, stick right behind him. So now we have a bit of a 4-car pack right here, a little bit of a breakaway. So these guys are going hard, but Paul Granata has done a pretty good job holding him off so far. But Kobe Wells, obviously a hard charger we saw in the Daytona race. He went from the back all the way to the front, and he's looking for more here at Vegas.
A couple of more things I want to note, especially if they continue to go green between now and just about the rest of the race, between this fuel window with just about, I believe, 55 to 60 laps. I think the magic number will be somewhere around possibly 50 to 55, maybe 45 to 50 laps before we see these drivers go down pit road, and we haven't seen a caution just yet. So there might be something for these drivers, especially when it comes to pit strategy, that we could see some of the drivers who might be taking a bit more of a conservative approach through this early portion of the race. They could see a potential surge in track position if they can make the pit strategy right. It's a battle for the lead. Michael Kenner down to the inside of Paul Granata for first place.
Yeah, and you saw the 14 car get very loose on the front stretch. Paul Granata went all the way up the racetrack to block, and he had to save that race car. But down the inside, looking for the race lead here. The advantage goes to the 14 car down the front straightaway. He might be able to clear him going into turn number 1, but Hunter Ellis trailing right behind. Blaze McKinney loose behind them.
Kenny might have made a little bit of contact with Colby Wells on the 4 car. It kind of got him loose, went through the grass, and he did a good job of keeping the car under him and saving it, as he really didn't lose any track position. A great save by Blaze, such a wheelman.
Yeah, and especially with these hot temperatures in Vegas, comes the slickness of the cars, and especially on these new tires. There's definitely slickness coming into play as a lot of these guys fanning out all over the place. You can definitely see it start to come in here in Vegas.
Yeah, and the draft seems to be a really big factor coming into this race. You see Jack Bolche. Oh, Jack Bolche gets very, very loose, was able to keep it straight. How did he keep that car straight? Oh my goodness, but he actually gained some positions down there, getting loose down there. He falls to just about 4th place. But now here comes a change for the lead. Michael Kenner takes the race lead. Hunter Ellis, who had a strong run at Daytona, now lines up 2nd. The 2 Mustangs in the front of the field, and Paul Granata moves to 3rd as he approaches lap number 11 of the 80 laps.
Yeah, and about the furthest out we've seen a leader, about 3 car lengths out front. So pretty good run here, and we're going to start to see the tires start to wear out, and tire strategy will start to come into play around the 10 lap mark, 20 lap mark. So these guys are going to start to fan out here, and tire saving is definitely important in these Cup cars, especially with the big fuel tank in the back. They about have the longest fuel run out of any stock cars, so tires do matter. and these tires are going to be worn at the end of this run.
I think a long run is really going to favor the 87 of Blaze McKinney. You see him there. He's fighting around the 42 car. He is real good at saving tires. We'll see a battle presented here. Wells goes under Granada, going for the third position. Car in the wall behind them.
Here's the 4 of Kobe Wells looking under Paul Granada now for, I believe, what is the third position. Blaze McKinney now peeks behind after falling back. And the 42, who we saw lined up on the outside of the first row, just falls back to, I believe, about 6th place. So he's been kind of fighting his race car just a little bit more than he wants to after that solid qualifying lap that put him outside of the first row. But we could see a 3-way battle for 4th place, almost a 4 driver battle down here for 3rd place.
Yeah, Blaze McKinney starting to get back what he lost here. He shuffled back a good bit of spots in the early run, but he's to the back bumper of the 4 car, looking for more, and up to the back bumper of him is the 95 of Paul Granada. So Blaze McKinney is starting to shuffle back up to the front and breaks back into the top 5. Oh, we got
a handful of drivers on the wall. The 42 of Williams is up hard into the inside wall. He's back on the racetrack, and now the first caution of the race has been thrown. Oh, wow, what a hard hit for the 42 of Williams, who was running solidly through the field. It looks like everybody got into the wall from turn 2 there, practically from the leaders down to these guys back here in this little pack, hit the wall of turn number 2. We'll take a replay and see what happened. You see Paul Granada, the 4 among the drivers, at the wall, and the 95 goes down in the 42, and hard hit into the inside wall. He's able to comes back out on the racetrack. Luckily, nobody hits him after, but hard hit for the 42, and that causes the first caution of the night.
Yeah, and kind of a victim of circumstance there. The 95 got into the wall and just kind of came back down into him. So did the 4 car and almost the 01 car. So a lot of these guys are experiencing some tire wear. So yeah, you'll definitely start to see the tightness coming in, trying to keep it out of the wall. But under caution for the first time, I would expect all these guys to come down for tires.
And it looks like they do. Michael Kenner, Blaze McKinney, Hunter Ellis among the drivers dipping down pit road. It looked like Blaze McKinney was just going to give a little fake there, but it seems as though the entire field comes down pit road. They're going to take their 4 tires and fuel for the service. The first time these drivers pit tonight, and it probably won't be the last as we have a longer run, especially going into these 80 laps. But now that these guys are going down pit road, here's the battle down. 14 of Michael Kenner, Blaze McKinney among the drivers running into the pit road.
Yeah, and pit service underway here. We'll have to see who wins the race off of pit road. Blaze McKinney got a good entry, but here comes the 14 car, looking to get it. If Blaze McKinney can beat into the line, but no, the 14 car, Michael Kenner, wins the race off of pit road, so he'll be starting up front when we take the green flag again.
Jackson Steiner, the 24, among the drivers 3rd and 4th. I've seen some other drivers behind them have struggled, especially down the pit road. You see the 4 also continuing to get service. Paul Granada among the drivers. Here's a driver we haven't seen up in the front tonight. That's I believe that's the 25. He's going to make himself the 42 gets out before all these drivers do. That's very interesting considering he hit the wall earlier.
And using that fast repair to get back out there. Got a clean race car, but 26 car of Eli O'Quinn puts himself into the top 5. And Jackson Steiner in that 97 car also up here. I think he was in the back earlier in this run, so he shuffled himself up back front. Is in a pretty good position on this next run.
Under our first caution for the first time in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series Round 2 here at Vegas. We're going to take a short break, but on the other side we'll give you some more green flag racing live from the Sin City Las Vegas International Speedway. You're watching the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series.
We are back at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400 lap race on this 0.625-mile racetrack. And just as the field comes around turn number 4, the sunshine seems through, helping warm things here. Billy leads it down. Many horses on the outside. The green flag flies, and the first Union 400 Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. As Bill Elliott has the lead and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into second is on his last lap. This will be his 24th career win. Dale Earnhardt wins the first Union 400 at North Wilkesboro.
Welcome back here to Las Vegas Speedway for the LWRC Cup Series here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We're getting ready to go green flag racing here after a quick caution. The 42 car hit the inside wall pretty hard. But all these guys got fresh tires, so we're going to see the kind of racing that we saw early in the run. Looks like Michael Kenner took the outside line. So getting ready to go green here. And the green flag is back out, so these cars got fresh tires and they're underway. And I'm surprised how long that caution took to come out, but now it's out. Is lots of contact there. The 4 car went around on the front straightaway, and lots of damage to these cars. So, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get a replay here of that. Yeah, and while we're on a caution, if you have a question for us, make sure in our YouTube chat use hashtag AskKBRN. We'll answer any question you want, no matter how weird or stupid it is. We'll go ahead and do that. We do have our first question from Kelan Blunger, and he says, "Ask KBRN, who has the best car early in this race?" We'll start with you, Kenneth. Yeah, and I think the obvious pick for me is obviously the car out front, Blaze McKinney. He's shown a lot of speed here. Unfortunately, he got shuffled back early in the first run, but he's back up to the front. He's got a strong race car, and I think he might be at least one of the favorites to win, along with the 14 car, like you said, Kenneth, and some other cars like the 4 car back there. I know has speed, but got caught up in that wreck. So some early picks, those are mine. So.
terms of this lineup, or we could see Blaze McKinney down in the bottom once again.
I think Blaze is going to stick to the bottom. That's really the preferred line going into the corner. I don't really know. I don't know why Kenner chose the outside on that restart. I guess he thought he could get the jump on him, but when you got one of the best in the business to your inside, that's going to be hard to beat when you go into turn 1 like that. So I think he'll go to the bottom and ride that through 1 and 2.
Yeah, and especially at these 1.5 miler racetracks, the bottom line really is the advantage. But you know, with a bit of into iRacing talk, the tire model here does really only allow for 1-lane racing. So I think the bottom line is definitely an advantage. The top line, if you get to that top line, you might get shuffled back. So I think if you're on the bottom, you're pretty much set and solid to pass a few cars on the outside line. So it's definitely an advantage, and I would expect Blaze McKinney to choose the bottom on this restart. So yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't really count out the outside line just yet. We saw the 14 of Michael Kenner make a good run to the outside. I could expect to see this a little bit more coming from him, but of course over the tire run, especially with this tire model on iRacing, it seems to be harder to keep those runs as the tires wear out and the drivers start to wash up the track a little bit more, have to slow down, and their times start to get a little bit slower. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens within there. But the 1 to green signal is out on the pace car. You see these drivers moving into these lines. Interesting to see Jackson Steiner and the 42 of Williams, who was involved in the previous incident that caused the first yellow. He's back into 4th place. The 24 behind them, Eli O'Quinn. Those guys round out round number 3. That's Logan Hartman in the 24. Then Richard Mandonka, the number 4. Paul Granada back there within those couple of drivers. Jack Bolche, who we've seen got loose so many times within the last couple of laps. He's had one of the slicker cars on the racetrack.
Yeah, definitely. And what I mentioned earlier, these guys just got fresh tires. They're on cold tires, so it definitely makes a difference in you know, kind of the car reaction. Because if you're on colder tires, those tires are not warmed up, obviously. So it'll get a lot slicker in this run, especially with the hot temperatures. So we are seeing a few clouds over the track. Maybe that'll cool down the track a little bit, but these cold tires, like I said, they can be a bit iffy sometimes.
That is true. Pace car looms down pit road for the 3rd time tonight, and Blaze McKinney, Michael Kenner will lead the field to green, and green flag is out. Blaze McKinney with a beautiful start as we go back underway here at Vegas. Still side by side behind them. Sorry, Charlie. Go ahead.
Yeah, Blaze McKinney obviously holding the bottom line, but Michael Kenner, one of the faster cars in the last run, looking to his outside. I might stand corrected with my statement about the outside lane, but he's coming up to the outside. But here comes Jackson Steiner in that 97 car into the picture. First time we've seen him up front so far.
Yeah, Jackson Steiner was running near the back for most of this race until he approached these guys on that last pit stop. He gained a lot of positions on that last pit stop. You see a driver getting loose. That's Jaden Lawson under the apron. Think he's able to save it. He does. He'll be getting on the track still clean. No caution will come out for that. But look at Michael Kenner, who made the move on the outside. I mentioned how that outside lane could work on the short run, and certainly it's working for that 14 of Michael Kenner as you go down in the one lap number 27.
Yeah, and a good move for him to get that 14 car back out front. But here comes the 97 car behind Blaze McKinney. Looking for that 2nd spot here. Go down to the inside.
Here is the move for 2nd place. Jackson Steiner looks to the inside of Blaze McKinney. The 42 of Williams looks now into 32 Blaze McKinney. I think he might be dropping back just a bit, just using all of that outside lane to keep himself clear, but now he's back down to the bottom looking for 3rd place. Jackson Steiner goes hard into the outside wall. Caution is out once again on a horrific wreck for the 97 of Jackson Steiner. Oh my goodness, what happened there? I'm not sure whether that was an issue with the car being loose or what have you, but we're going to take a replay and see exactly what went down there. Jackson Steiner was just running very, very well down in 3rd place. He was keeping himself in line. Looks like he was just working himself fine through the bottom of the racetrack, and then just gets shot up into the outside wall. I'm not sure exactly what happened on that.
It'll be on the next lap here, but
yeah,
it looks like he just got loose there and obviously hooked her right into the outside wall. So a pretty hard wreck for him, knocked the front end out of the car. So he'll have to go down and get that fast car. But we're gonna see what happened here. Obviously a little bit of internet issues on his part, but
I think he was just he was jerking the wheel there into turn 2. It looks like he was trying to get that car turned into turn 2, and it just kind of went away from him, and he tried to overcorrect, but it seems that overcorrect was just a little bit too much, and that sent him. You see him already sliding into turn 1 and sliding further into turn 2, and then when he overcorrects, a hard hit into the outside wall. A really close call for Logan Hartman, and Hunter Ellis and them managed to miss him. Oh, they just barely missed him by a couple inches there.
Yeah, and with these big spoilers, they do provide a lot of downforce to these cars. But when you get that back end to step out like that, all that downforce is gone, and the car is basically in control in your hands. So, yeah, when that back end steps out, it can be pretty hard to save compared to the other stock cars. So,
yeah, that might have been what you were talking about right before we got restarting. You're talking about them cold tires. They're going to be loose early in a run. You have to really wait to start until you get some heat in his tire. That might have been part of his issue. Just slid going into the corner, and he tried to catch up with it as he went through the center of the corner. He just couldn't catch up to it, lost it, overcorrected, and hit the wall.
Well, if you're watching in the YouTube chat and you want to join the conversation, you can use hashtag AskKBRN and ask any question to the booth up here, Kelan, Charlie, and I, about any questions about the race, about anything in general, about iRacing, about our services. You can ask all that by using hashtag AskKBRN and join the conversation in the YouTube chat. And we'll be sure to answer those questions as they run throughout the race. But I believe third caution of the night due to Jackson Steiner going hard into the outside wall. If you're just tuning in, this is our third caution of the night, lap 30. Still 50 laps remaining in this event. Michael Kenner, so far you see the cautions. 3 cautions. We run 10 laps under yellow. We've had 6 lead changes so far. And the man who's running up front also set the fastest lap of the race with a 29.665. So Michael Kenner with one of the more dominating performances tonight. And he's looking to continue that dominating run up front. And it seems as though we could see some pit stops within the next couple laps if we have them. But so far, I don't believe we will have them yet. But we have a question down in the KBRN in the chat, by Glenn Bungeon. Ask KBRN infield care center on Jackson. Well, he didn't even have to go to the infield care center. He just got a fast repair, so he can just get back out on the track. He'll be fine. Pretty sure he'll start back in the line, but.
Yeah, he got released, put a fast repair on the car, and he's back out. Is he back out? We'll have to see. Oh, he's in pit.
Yes, he's in pit road. He's currently the only car in the field the lap down now, so that'll push him back just a little bit. But the only good news about that is that there's nobody else really a lap down, so he can get that lucky dog if we have another caution within the next couple of laps, or between now and the rest of this race if nobody else goes a lap down.
I think Blaze McKinney, who was running in second or third, he went down pit road, got tires, so he'll be restarting a little bit further back.
We have another question down in the chat from BT Dubs in the Ask KBRN chat. How many more cautions do you think we will have, Charlie?
Well, I think we have 3 cautions in the span of 30 laps. So, especially with the smaller field, not a whole lot of cars. Obviously a different car is a different variable in causing a wreck. But I think with the less amount of cars, we won't see as much caution. So if we get one caution per 10 laps, I should say, I think we'll get around maybe 8, maybe 9, maybe 10 more. Especially there's a lot of variables that go into it. What do you think, Kenneth?
Well, I mean, considering the small field that we've had still a couple of cautions already between some of the guys near the rear of the field, and I really don't expect to see anything different when it comes to some of these guys, but especially guys like Jack Bolche, guys who are getting very loose early in these runs. I feel like they've already went down pit road and they can make some more adjustments to get that car just a little bit better in terms of that run and kind of refrain from having close moments and potentially having some cautions down the road. But still a long race left to go, so I think there's still going to be cautions within this race that could shake a lot of things up. So the pace car gives the one to green. He'll go down pit road, and we'll go green on another restart on lap number 33. The green flag will come out. Michael Kenner and Kobe Wells leading the green. Kobe Wells leading the outside for the first time this season, but we are green back in Vegas. Good start for Michael Kenner. Kobe Wells follows suit right behind him. Paul Granata, who we saw was battling for the lead early in the race, now looks to third. He's going to try and make a move for this race lead within the next couple of turns. You see now there's a battle for the race lead between Kobe Wells. He looks to the inside of Michael Kenner, and he could fight for the lead with Paul Granata right behind him as you see a car down loose on the front straightaway.
Yeah, and Kobe Wells looking to lead some of his first laps of the race today under Michael Kenner for the front spot. Michael Kenner almost the class of the field tonight, so that fast number 14 car is being overtaken by the 4 car and into turn number 3, but the advantage goes to the 14 car.
Yeah, and it seems the 14 car is one of the only cars on the racetrack to run the high lane and pretty much make it work. In turns 1 and 2, he seems to get the better run off the corner, and that's how he's been able to continue his lead. But Kobe Wells continues to put the pressure on the 14. Paul Granata follows suit right behind. If these guys tangle up, Paul Granata has a wide open shot to the race lead.
Yeah, and tucking it behind the 14 car, back goes the 4 car of Kobe Wells. So he'll give it another shot here, and it's definitely not over yet. Kobe obviously an aggressive driver, so it's a pretty good battle for the lead so far.
Yeah, now the battle brews up between these guys in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. There's a battle between the 42 of Williams. Blaze McKinney now looks, he almost gets into the 95 on the back straightaway, but these guys also battling behind them. It's just a 3-car breakaway, and the 42 goes around on the first stretch right in front of the 87, and caution will come out once again. It almost looked like he had it saved, but spun around on turns 3 and 4, and that'll cause, I believe, the 4th caution tonight right in front of the 87.
I'll see a replay here. It looks like, just a bit of contact there and a bit of net code for the 42, kind of sent him around, and obviously no initial contact there, so yeah, it just goes around right in front of the 87, bit of front end damage for his car, so caution comes out once again here.
Yeah, I was about to say don't look yet. Blaze McKinney was on his way because he was on those fresh tires. He just got stuck between those 2 cars right in front of him, couldn't get around them, and ended up getting a little bit damaged because of it.
Yeah, Blaze McKinney was trying to fight his way with those fresh tires up to the front of the field, and seems as though he was making a little bit of an aggressive move. You see these guys, all of them dive down pit road. Michael Kenner, Kobe Wells, I'm on the drivers. You see 1 car stays out. That's Logan Hartman in the 24. Interesting move for him to stay out, but here will be the battle to see who comes out of pit road first. We saw Michael Kenner come out of pit road first the last time we dipped down pit road, but we'll see what happens this time. Everyone goes down pit road. See the 46 who was stuck down there with damage, possibly. Blaze McKinney has the first pit stall. We'll see what happens with Michael Kenner and the rest of them down off of pit road. Michael Kenner, it's a beautiful run. Blaze McKinney, I think he follows suit down in 3rd. Kobe Wells, Jack Belsha with a beautiful pit stop, along with Hunter Wells, who lines up within the top 5. Beautiful pit stop. And what I've seen within these pit stops is that these guys seem to shake up a lot of positions when it comes down the pit road. Even guys who were up there in the front seem to shuffle back, and some guys who are near the rear of the field start to shuffle forward. That's one of the more interesting things I've seen today.
And that kind of a disadvantage, that 24 car. I don't know if he's going to come down this time, but we'll just have to see. But he is on those, I believe, maybe 5 lap older tires, but it does make all the difference. Just a lap older tires do make the difference here. So Yeah, he's going to be out front, and he might get freight trained by these cars behind him.
Yeah, an update on the 97 of Jackson Steiner, who went hard into the outside wall just a couple of laps earlier. He says that he didn't have his fast repair equipped when he went down pit road, so he had to go through all his repairs, and it seems as though his race is over live from Vegas. But tough break for the 97, who was having a pretty good run up in third place. It looked like he was going to make a challenge for just about second or even to the race lead at times. It seems as this race is cut short on lap number 38 of the 80 laps scheduled to run here today. Logan Harmon will lead the field to green once they double up and get the field ready for the green flag. Michael Kenner will have the outside, and that's where I'm looking, is Michael Kenner in that 14 and his run that he could potentially make on that outside. And the outside lane has been working for him all day long, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him down in the high lane once we come into turn 1 and 2 and get the advantage.
But yeah, definitely, especially with these fresher tires. But it does take a few laps to get those cold tires warmed up, and then once they're gripped up, they will have a lot of speed, and you can get by these cars pretty quickly. So, under caution for I think the 4th time here, and looking to get some more green flag racing here. Obviously, the green flag race that we did get was pretty exciting. Lots of shuffling, lots of fanning out, but also lots of aggressive moves for the race lead. So that's what these cars are all about. That's what racing is all about. So I'm excited to get back going here.
Yeah, we have another Ask KBRN question down in the YouTube chat. The NASCAR Fanatic asks, who do you think was at fault for the wreck? Well, personally, I would say it was just a little bit of kind of these guys racing in the draft. Blaze McKinney was just trying to make the move, especially with those fresher tires. It looked like he was trying to find the best way to get around the guys in front of him, since he was trying to kind of getting a better run off of the corners, and it seems as though it just didn't go the right way for Blaze McKinney. He kind of went up the racetrack, and one of the drivers was up there on top of him, so that caused a caution. Charlie, what do you think about that?
Well, the iRacing service can be a little bit iffy with internet connections, so obviously I would just say that's a racing incident. You know, these guys, especially in the cockpits of those race cars, it can definitely get pretty wild in there. So I think I would blame that just being a racing incident. I wouldn't really blame that on any driver or pin it on any driver.
I agree with that.
And another Ask KBRN question before we go green to Glenn Butchin. Can they go the distance on fuel? Well, the fuel run for these 1.5 milers is about 50 laps, 60 laps. So I think we're just on the edge here. And if we were to go green to the end, which is a possibility of happening, these guys will have to save a little bit, or they can just short pit and go to the end. So pace car's off. We're looking to get the green flag once again here. Looks like Logan Harmon will lead them to the green flag, and back out on the racetrack. Bit of checkup on the bottom lane as Colby Wells takes him 3 wide.
Colby Wells absolutely took advantage of the 24's mishaps down the first. He's gonna drop a bunch of positions, almost gets into the 42, but now that leaves him behind as Colby Wells and Michael Kenner battle for the race lead. Jack Belsha just behind them. Blaze McKinney looks to the outside, and side by side continuing down the back straightaway down to turn number 3.
Colby Wells with the advantage is clear as of right now of the 14 car, but Blaze McKinney obviously a hard charge here. Jack Belsha, first time we've seen him up into the top 5 picture here. He's looking for more. Lots of shuffling once again here at Vegas.
Colby Wells down to the bottom of the racetrack. He looks to take the race lead once again, but Michael Kenner continues to put the fight on the outside lane. Blaze McKinney is currently trying to find a way around these two guys and trying to find what best lane suits for him to get around the 4. Looks like he'll choose the middle line, and that'll help him get around the 4 off the back straightaway. He's going to look for the race lead behind Michael Kenner. Hunter Ellis follows suit just behind in 4th. He could get an opportunity if these guys decide to slow down just a little bit, especially since they're racing together. And it looks like Michael Kenner will take the race lead along with Blaze McKinney following suit.
Yeah, Blaze McKinney clear the 4 car now. Now we can focus on the 14 car back up to the front here. But we saw these two battle a little bit earlier, and the 14 did a pretty good job of holding him off. So we'll see what happens this time as Blaze McKinney gets inches closer and closer to that bumper.
See some of the drivers behind there. The number 4 of Kobe Wells, who fell just a little bit back. He falls to 4th. Jack Belsha just behind them. And Hunter Ellis, who had a really strong run in Daytona, but just couldn't get it done. He was part of helping, I believe, the 11. They were helping each other a lot throughout Daytona, and he's looking for a better run and possibly a race win. And he's had a strong card tonight, so I wouldn't count him out specifically. As you see Michael Kenner and Blaze McKinney, this could be the battle for the race lead. He is all in the back bumper into turn 1.
And the 01 car moving back into the podium picture here under Blaze McKinney, but Blaze McKinney just can't find a lane to use to try to get around that 14 car, and actually slowing him up a little bit, but he's kind of pinned on the outside line right now as the 01 car moves back into the picture.
Seems as though it's a 5-car breakaway between them and 6th place, and we'll look down back to 6th place and see where those drivers stand. Just a couple of other drivers down in 6th place, 7th place. Guys like the 42, who's now just a little bit by himself. Eli O'Quinn behind them. Paul Granada, Logan Hartman, Jaden Lawson, Richard Mandonka. Of course, I believe Paul Granada is one of the drivers who's stuck a lap down now. So a couple more drivers stuck a lap down, and that's gonna especially come down to narrowing this field just a little bit. See Paul Granada now gets lapped once again. A hard damage on the front end of that 95 Chevrolet Camaro, but here is still the continuous battle for the race lead, and for 2nd place, Blaze McKinney falls back. Hunter Ellis now looks to the race lead on Michael Kenner.
Yeah, and on that last lap, Blaze McKinney and Hunter Ellis swapped lanes. Maybe one of them got clear of each other and the other jumped to the inside. So Blaze McKinney obviously fell back on that bottom line, moves back to 4th place. But the 01 has caught up to that bumper of the 14 car, looking for more. Maybe he can get a nose under or above him here, going into turn number 1. And a bit of contact there from the rear quarter panel.
Oh, wow.
The 01 car slides up the racetrack. Here comes the 4 car back into the top 2 spot here.
Yeah, the 4 car of Kobe Wells back up front, and I want to talk about Kobe Wells. Kobe Wells had a pretty good race down in Daytona. He had a pretty strong run running in the draft, and then he kind of fell back and just couldn't get the race lead. Oh my goodness, Blaze McKinney gets very loose down off of turn number 4. He's going to keep it sideways, but keeps it. Oh my goodness, what a save by the 87 down in the grass. I was just about talking about Kobe Wells, but the 87 took my attention off of that one as he's looking for the race lead once again down the back straightaway.
Turn right to go left, said Doc Hudson in the Cars movie, and Blaze McKinney obviously a drifty move into the grass, but the 4 car looking to the inside of the 14 car for the race lead coming on to lap 50.
Just about 30 laps to go left in this event here in Vegas, and still a battle for the race lead, still heating up between the 14 and Michael Kenner, who's been leading most of the laps in this race, and Kobe Wells, who's trying to make the attack to get his first win this season. Hunter Ellis and Jack Belsha, these guys are not unfamiliar with each other. They were very familiar with each other down in Daytona. They were working together for most of the race, and they really had a shot at the win. Of course, they weren't able to get the win, but still, they were working together, and now we see them 3rd and 4th. That's one of the more interesting things to know. But Michael Kenner, is what a performance we've seen here tonight, but he just hasn't been able to breach that gap from the 4 of Kobe Wells, as here we see a battle for the lead down in turn number 3.
Yeah, maybe he can finally get clear of it once again, but 14 car doing a good job so far of holding him off, hitting him down in the corner there, but the advantage so far to the 14 car at the line. But yeah, we've seen the outside line start to come in, especially late in the run. So, yeah, and obviously a bit of washing up there. Yeah, that's the product of old tires. So I think the outside line is really the key to maintaining position or passing someone, especially on old tires, into a run.
Yeah, and especially when you talk about the long run, one of the things I'm thinking about now that they're approaching this run and that we haven't had a caution in just a couple laps, especially with this longer run. I think this is the longest run we've had so far in this race. But one of the things I'm thinking about is the fuel strategy. You mentioned that just prior to the restart, and it's just one of the things that's on my mind, especially when it comes down to short pitting. I know these guys still are just a little bit clear of the mark to go all the way until lap 80, but if we see these green flag pit stops and these guys decide to short pit, what kind of things can we expect down in pit road, and how will that really shake up the order, Charlie?
Well, down the fuel strategy, we have about less than 30 laps to go. These guys are on a 16-lap stint here, so right now these guys are around 40 to 45 lap, or at the end of their run, they're going to be on a 40 to 45 lap run here. So it'll be iffy here. These guys might be able to save some tires, or fuel, I should say, but it'll definitely be if these guys can do it. But it'll be. Yeah.
Well, they did have about three to four caution laps in this stint, so that they may have taken that time to save fuel a little bit. So, in my opinion, I think they can make it all the way to the end if this thing stays green. But that's going to be the tough task, and trying to get these guys to stay green.
Well, it's been a tough task for the 4 of Kobe Wells to try and get around the 14 of Michael Kenner. Seems as though he's fallen back just a little bit behind the race leader, and now here's a battle heating up for third place. That's Jack Belsha on the rear bumper of Hunter Ellis in the 01. Blaze McKinney following behind suit in 5th place. He's kind of keeping his consistent run there, hitting his marks down on the bottom end. And just how hard these tires really punish you if you use them too hard in this early run.
Yeah, there's a lot of different tactics that go into tire saving. Obviously, you want to limit your wheel input, obviously, on corner exit. If you're turning the wheel to get the car rotated too much, that'll definitely burn up your tires a lot more. So, tire strategy, a lot of these guys approach it differently. But, again, it all comes down to long green flag routes and who can save them the best, really.
Tire saving is key when it comes to racetrack like these that really eat up the tires over the course of the run. And we've seen the 4 of Kobe Wells just slowly creep the gap and slowly eliminate that gap back to the bumper of the 14. He could try for just one more time, just about the 3rd time, to try and take the race lead. And maybe the 3rd time could be the charge as they come out of turn number 2.
Yeah, and working really hard, but with these high downforce packages, obviously the big spoiler and less horsepower, but the advantage really goes to the car in front, because the car in front can just run, especially early in the run, they can just run full throttle laps around here, or at least lift a little bit. But the second car, they get the draft, so they obviously have a lot more speed going into the car, and they have to lift more, so it's a lot more harder on the car in second place. Especially, again, with turbulent air, or dirty air as the Americans call it, behind them. So it's definitely tough for that second place car, but it's definitely not impossible. But late into the run, it's a pretty big challenge.
Yeah, it's a very tough challenge, and you saw on your screen just as we were going down the back straightaway, look who's peaked into 4th place. That's the 87 of Blaze McKinney. He passed the 11 of Jack Belsha. Not sure if there was an issue or just it was a clean pass through there, but now he's peeking into 3rd, and what might be a slow creep up to the front of the field. We've seen Blaze McKinney just fall back, come back up to the front of the field, and then go back again as we see him now looking for 3rd place on the 01 of Hunter Ellis. This could be a threat going into the last 20 laps of this race.
Yeah, maybe those tires are starting to get to the 01 and the 11. The 11's starting to fall back just a little bit. Obviously, I don't know the situation in that race car, but the 01 peeking out to the inside once again. But looks like Blaze McKinney has the spot, and he'll start to work on closing that gap for the front 2 spots here. And on the apron goes the 01. You got the split of the apron, the back end starting to step out, but in the wall there, not what he wanted to see, especially going late into this run.
And one of the things I've noticed, especially here at Vegas, is it's so easy to get behind the back bumper of one of these drivers. If you have the draft, it's easy to stay behind them, but the worst part is getting around these drivers, and we've seen pretty much physical evidence of that with Kobe Wells, who's had the draft of Michael Kenner between the last 20 laps or so, and he just can't get around that 14 no matter what he does, even with the draft and how close proximity he is of the 14. He just can't find a way around him. And especially since the bottom line is the best line around the racetrack, you see him trying to alter his line to trying to find a better lane around the racetrack to catch some time. Looks like he lost some time there, but it's just so hard to pass these guys at Las Vegas.
Yeah, definitely. I think Michael, kind of the opposite of a super speedway race that we saw last week. You kind of want to be out front here. especially in this situation late into the run. These guys behind you are just going to start to wear off their tires trying to catch you. So I think Michael Kenner's in a really good position here. If he can just keep it up, if he can just keep up the run that he's having, he could come home with a race win. But obviously, I wouldn't count out Colby Wells right behind him, and obviously Blaze McKinney, who has been closing the gap in the last few laps, went from, or at least gained a 10th in the last 2 laps. So he's definitely not out of the picture yet, an experienced driver in that 87 machine. So my eyes are on him coming late into these closing laps.
Yeah, these 3 races started at Daytona, the high banked full throttle action, which is just a pack racing atmosphere, and it's more like you got to help a lot of guys in the draft, and that's really how you can take the win here at Daytona. And then now here at Las Vegas, where it comes down to a lot of tire saving, and then we go down to ISM Phoenix Raceway into race 3, which will be a short track, and especially with the lower downforce package that these Cup cars have, it's going to be interesting to see who could take advantage of that and really push themselves forward through this field. And I know it's only the 2nd race of the season, and the point standings just haven't shaken up as much ever since the win down at Daytona and what happened down at Daytona. But this could potentially shake up, especially for Michael Kenner, who didn't have a strong points day at Daytona, but he's looking for a better one tonight. As you see, Colby Wells looks to the outside, almost scrapes a wall, but now they're side by side going into turn number 3.
Yeah, Colby Wells finally got to the outside of him. This could be a pretty big advantage. If you saw, the outside line does work late into the run here. But behind them, this is what Blaze McKinney wants to see as the 14 car doesn't clear him. This is what Blaze McKinney wants to see. He gained 3/10 that lap while they were side by side. So definitely what he wants to see, and it's going to be a big advantage, especially kind of a one-lane racetrack here. But this is especially what he wants to see. These guys are side by side, not giving each other any room. And Blaze McKinney could enter back into the battle here, but it comes down to tires, like I said.
Yeah, and I've experienced that personally racing on this iRacing services. Sometimes within these longer runs, as the field spreads out, when you're running by yourself, you're pretty much running against the track. You don't really focus on a lot of the drivers in front of you. You're just kind of focusing on how you can run the track in the best way you can and try to be the fastest around the racetrack. And then even in those circumstances, you could end up just catching the guys in front of you, even without really noticing. So Blaze McKinney continues to close the gap. You see him just how much he's closed within these last couple laps down the back straight. We see how close he's gotten to Colby Wells and Michael Kenner. And I think if we continue to stay green throughout the rest of this run, Blaze McKinney could make the run as these guys use their tires up.
Yeah, and that gap went from 0.8 of a second behind down to just under 0.5 of a second, half of a second here. So Blaze McKinney moving back into the picture here. I'm sure Colby Wells sees that Chevrolet number 87 car right behind him. He thinks it's go time, and obviously an aggressive driver in the 87, very tactical driver. So it's going to be a bit of a racy last 10 laps here at Las Vegas.
Approaching 10 laps to go here at the start-finish line. Michael Kenner crosses the line first. Blaze McKinney now looks down for second. He could go on the inside, and yes, he does make the move down the inside. Give P2 to Blaze McKinney, but Colby Wells just isn't giving up yet. He's on the back bumper, and just as we go down 10 laps to go, this could be the race for the lead between these 3 cars. These guys can make the difference. As you see, they've pretty much broken away from the rest of the field behind them.
Put these 3 cars under a blanket here. Blaze McKinney looking to the inside for the race lead. He's been saving those tires, looking out front, just approaching 10 laps to go here. The advantage goes to the 87 into turn number 1. Can he do it?
Side by side into turn number 1. The 14 of Michael Kenner holds his ground on the outside, which he's done so evidently within these past couple of runs. Blaze McKinney just can't get around them on the inside. And it's just so fun to watch Michael Kenner utilize that high line when he needs it, and he uses it in the best way possible. But here could be another move down for the race lead. Blaze McKinney looks low down at the start-finish line. They're approaching 8 laps to go here at Vegas.
Yeah, and you saw Michael Kenner defend the high line down the front straightaway. Blaze McKinney trying to get a nose up there, but he is not letting that high line go to waste because he knows that if someone gets outside of him, the tech that he's been using is now flawed, and into the wall goes the 14, and around he goes.
No! Michael Kenner into the wall. He's around on the back straightaway. Hard hit for him, and that'll cause a caution with 8 laps to go. And we did not expect that to happen whatsoever with the leader who's been dominating most of this race. we'll take the replay and see exactly what went down. And I was mentioning him utilizing the Highland, and he was using it very well down in turn number 1. But it looks like he just washed up. You see him go up the track just a little bit earlier, hits the wall, gets into the 87, and there around he goes on the back straightaway. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, not only did the 14 car get a bit of damage, he damaged the right side of that 87 car. So both these cars are going to have to go down pit road. We'll see if Blaze McKinney does so, actually. But a bit of strategy here. Kelan?
Yeah, I was just going to say Blaze gave him plenty enough room. He was just looking for too much, trying to stay out ahead of that 87. Got tight, ran up into the wall, damaged both their cars. And it'll be interesting to see how much damage that 87 has, and if he'll take it or if he doesn't take it, if he will still have that speed.
Yeah, and we see it here as it goes by the camera. That front and side is kind of pancake, but these guys are on 35 laps in, so these guys are going to come down pit road and get some 4 fresh tires. But as we begin, I think this will push into a less than 5 lap to go run here. But Paul Granada does stay out on the racetrack. He is actually 2 laps down, so hoping to get a lap back. So these guys down pit road, pit strategy now coming into play.
This could make or break the race here on this last pit stop. Blaze McKinney needs a perfect stop if he wants to stay. And you mentioned that right side damage that he got from the 14 to Michael Kenner. That could affect his pit stop just a little bit more. You see these drivers go down pit road. Everybody taking 4 tires, it seems as though. And we'll see who takes the green, who takes the first position. Blaze McKinney looks to be the first out. Colby Wells, the 42, takes 3rd. Hunter Ellis, Jack Bolche for 4th and 5th, and Michael Kenner not too far back in the field. I believe he's 6th off the pit road. So Blaze McKinney will start back in the front row with Colby Wells on this last restart, and this could be the opportunity for Colby Wells to make a charge at that lead, which he's been trying desperately over that last green flag run. But this could be the prime opportunity if Blaze McKinney doesn't get a good run down low.
Yeah, Michael Kenner did drop back just outside the top 5, currently sitting in 4th. We see Cole Williams in the 42 car move himself into the podium, the last podium position. Jack Bolche in that 11 car. And rounding out your top 5 will be the 01 of Hunter Ellis. So a bit of a shake-up for the front spot here, and this gives these guys who were outside the top 3 in that just before we got the caution. This will give them a shot towards the race lead and maybe a win here at Vegas.
But that was so surprising to see the 14 of not Hunter Ellis, excuse me, of Michael Kenner, who was dominating most of this race. And then when he was under pressure from the 87, and just made one mistake, and that cost him possibly the victory, as this could be what might be the final restart of this race if they keep it green within the next couple of laps or so. I believe we're going to go green with just about 4 laps to go. It's not going to extend to a green-white checker just yet, but if they get another caution, we could extend down into the green-white checkers, and we did that last week at Daytona. Do you expect that we can stretch it out one more time to a green-white checker this time around?
Well, maybe. These guys know that it is go time. It's crunch time on the racetrack. Just a late race caution. These guys are hungry for a race win. It's all up to Blaze McKinney if he can hold them off. So I think another caution isn't too far out of a possibility here. So it'll definitely be a bit sketchy for the drivers for sure. But one thing I want to mention is that late race racing that we saw with Blaze McKinney and Colby Wells and the 14 car, that is some of my favorite racing to watch, not only in real life but in the iRacing service and to race in. They're on old tires. They know their cars are worn out. They're using every bit of race car that they still have and tires. So that's some of my favorite racing to see on this service. So I think it would have been a good finish, but with these fresh tires, it's going to be even more exciting, as the pace car might have gotten the 1-to-go signal there. Yeah, so we're going to get a 4-lap dash to the finish here.
Blaze got a little. I don't know if he got that damage repair, because I'm pretty sure he used his fast repair earlier when that car spun out in front of him. So if he still has damage on that race car, it's going to be interesting to see if he can hold off Colby Wells. We have seen 2 lines work on these restarts these last few times. It's Kenner and Wells. I think this is going to be a race between them, but don't count out that 42. If these 2 cars tangle, that 42 could get by him, steal this.
Yeah, one of the things you mentioned, Charlie, about that late race run and these guys using every bit of car that they have to get the advantage over the other. And although the top 3 really spread themselves from the rest of the field, those guys were all within a second of each other. at the end of that run, and that was exciting to watch, to see those guys, each of those guys, just try their best to keep their race cars intact. And it seems as though Michael Kenner made that one mistake that could potentially cost him the win, but it's not over till it's over. We're gonna go 4 laps to go here at Vegas on what could be the final restart of the event. Blaze McKinney, Colby Wells in row 1, 42 of Williams and Jack Boche in row 2. Hunter Ellis and Michael Kenner round out row 3. Coming off of turn number 4, the pace car will loom down pit road for what could be the final time. And we're going to go back green once again. The 2 Chevrolets line up the front row. They're going to lead the field to green as the green flag will be displayed on the racetrack. Back underway here at Vegas.
And a bit of a stack up there. The 42 car does nag it back behind, but advantage goes to the outside. They're all linked up. They're pushing each other. Going into turn number 1, about a half a car length out front goes the 4 car with an aggressive 11 car behind him.
Yeah, look at the run Colby Wells got on the outside with Jack Boche giving him the push. He's able to keep the lead. Blaze McKinney is not over for him yet. He looms to the bottom, but Jack Boche looks for second. He might look under the 4 for first place. Michael Kenner also breaches back into the top 3. He can make a roof coming to 3 laps to go here at Vegas.
And the 11 car looking back to the inside under the apron there. A bit of contact, almost contact there. Gets loose under the apron. He's going to be at a disadvantage into this corner, but the 14 car, yep, moves himself back into the spot. Blaze McKinney loose on the back straightaway. Lots of following there, and around he goes.
Blaze McKinney around. He looks like he'll be able to save it. He comes back on the racetrack. That could be the next caution if they throw it out. Yes, they do. Caution comes out with 3 laps to go, and will extend down to the green-white checkered. Boy, that was exciting racing. And look who's back up front after that mistake late in the run. Michael Kenner with an impressive move back to the front of the field.
And a pretty crazy last 2 laps before that's caution there. We're going to get a replay of this caution for you guys. Looks like Blaze McKinney just got caught up in a mess here. Obviously, he had a bit of right side damage from the contact with Colby Wells before, so, or the 14 car, I should say, but yeah, it looks like he just hit the apron in the back end, just started to step out, and finally got finished off by the 01 there. Not detrimental damage there, but only a few, so stinks for him. He was having a pretty good day, a really good day so far.
It really was a roller coaster day for him to this point. I mean, he started up at the point, fell back to about 5th, ended up getting that track position back, and was there racing for a win in the late stages. And just, I think without that last yellow, without Kenner making that mistake, giving him some damage, I think Blaze could have made that pass went on to win this thing.
Yeah, and that shakes up the field and doubles up the field once again. You see Paul Granada getting his lap. He is the lucky dog. I believe he'll be on the lead lap this time around after a little bit of a struggle for that 95 late in the running. But Michael Kenner and Colby Wells, they meet once again up in the front of the field. Now that Blaze McKinney went around down the back straightaway, he's going to have some more ground to pick up. But it seems as though like this ground can easily be picked up on these restarts. As you saw from Michael Kenner, he started on the outside of row 3, and he went all the way to the race lead from there. So I can only imagine Blaze McKinney can make that same move going into this, what could be, again, the final restart of the night as they extend to another green-white checkered. Oh my goodness, I think he's around, yeah. I think that there was a live footage of him going around on the bottom of the racetrack coming out of pit road. I'm not sure what happened there. It might have just, the car might have just gotten up under him and he got around. But he'll align himself back near the rear of the field. And now that the field is already pit, I don't expect to see anyone go down pit road. I could expect to see a couple guys faking out to kind of fake these guys into going down pit road, but I don't think anyone will take fresh tires this time around. Looks like they don't. So these guys will go around until the pace car gives the 1 to green signal, and then we'll be sure to give that green-white checkered finish and what could be the last one. But if they do get another caution prior to the white flag, they will get another attempt at a green-white checkered, and they'll continue to do so, I believe, until 3 attempts. I'm not sure if there's unlimited green-white checkers or if there's just 3, but Charlie, if you can kind of clarify that for me.
I think there's 3.
Yeah, 3. So it'll be limited to 3. So if we're on 1 right now, this will be the first one. Then if they get another caution down with 2 laps to go or 3 laps or whatever, what have you, they could stretch into another one. And then if they stretch into the final one, if they stretch into the final one and the caution comes out before the white flag, the race will end with the running order as they stand. So now that Michael Kenner has moved himself into first, all he has to do is preserve that lead. And we saw the inside line did not get a good start on the last restart. Do you expect to see some more of that? You expect to see the high line work themselves their way around in turn number 2? Turn number 1 and 2, or you think Michael Kenner can hold his ground from there?
Well, Michael Kenner has done a really good job all race, holding the lead, not letting cars get to his outside, because that's really where the disadvantage is on a long run. So if I were to pick, I guess we're doing race winner picks now, but if my pick for the race win would have to be that 14 car, but the 4 car and the 11 car are definitely not out of the picture just yet.
I'd have to agree with you. I think Kenner's going to have the advantage on this restart. I mean, Wells has fought hard, but he just hasn't really had the car to compete with that 14. I mean, he's been there, but he hasn't been able to really achieve the pass on him for the lead and the lead in front of him. So I think the 14 is going to have the advantage. I wouldn't count the 4 car out. If 14 spun his tires or something, maybe Wells could get out there up front, and I don't know. I think the 14 has it, but it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and Kobe Wells has been looking for every opportunity to take the race lead, and he took it for just a brief moment. He was battling with Kenner over that green flag run, but just couldn't get around him. But now that he's on the outside lane, he could potentially make that move into turn number 1 and 2 like he did with Blaze McKinney in that run, and he could possibly take the lead along with the 42, who's had a very up and down night. He's been within the middle of the field, and then he's been involved in some incidents, but now that he's back up to just about, I believe, the second row restarting here, so he could have that potential shot at a win. And we have another Ask KBRN question before we go green. Do drivers like endings like this? Well, I think for us as commentators and as pretty much fans of sim racing, it's fun to see these restarts happen like this. But I think if you're drivers, it just depends on your situation. If you're Michael Kenner, your heart must be pumping out of your chest, waiting for that restart to happen. So, and just anticipating what could happen within the next couple of laps. As we go on our first attempt at a green-white checkered, Michael Kenner, Kobe Wells leads the field to green. Green flag is back out here at Vegas.
Yeah, and the intensity is ramping up here, like you said in the Ask KBRN question, but these guys are ready to go. It's go time here. The 4 car on the outside looking to gain a little bit of ground, but here comes the 11 car going into turn number 1, but Michael Kenner in a pretty good position right now.
Yeah, it seems as though that inside line had the better run through turn number 1 and 2. Jack Belsha driving to second, and he's going to look for the race lead into turn 3. Down to the inside, side by side, into turn 3 and 4. Looks like Michael Kenner continues to hold this spot up high, and look at Kobe Wells might be giving the support to the 11.
White flag here. The advantage to the 11 car down on the inside. First time we've seen a challenger for the race lead from the 14 car, but going into turn number 2. Here comes the 14 car with the advantage on the outside. It could be Michael Kenner's race going into turn number 3. Kenneth?
Michael Kenner has dominated most of this race, and he has one more shot to keep himself in front of the 11. The 11 dives, tries to make the move to the inside, but can't make it work. Michael Kenner comes to win here at Las Vegas. He dominates the race, and he takes a checkered flag. What a finish. Jack Belsha finishes second. Kobe Wells finishes third. The 42 of Williams finishes 4th, and Blaze McKinney, after wrecking on the final caution, finishes within the top 5. Wow. Michael Kenner with a dominating race tonight, and he certainly proved that he was the best of the best here at Vegas. You see the 4 of Kobe Wells giving him a little bit of respect there on that finish. Blaze McKinney also showing his love to Michael Kenner, and what was an amazing battle between those 3 drivers. And Michael Kenner will take the time to celebrate in the Sin City, and what a better city to celebrate than right here at Las Vegas. He burns it down on the front straightaway. Wow.
And a deserving win for sure. A very good race leader and a very good driver here at Vegas. Class of the field for sure, and I'm happy for him. Obviously a dominating win, so he'll burn it down here. We're going to go ahead and give you your finishing results here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Michael Kenner in that 14 car takes the first spot. Jack Belsha in the 11 car finishes right behind him in second. Kobe Wells in the 4 car, another strong race car here today, finishes third. Cole Williams finishes 4th, and rounding out your top 5, the 87 of Blaze McKinney And right outside the top 5, the 01 of Hunter Ellis finishes 6th. Eli O'Quinn finishes 7th. And those are the cars who finished on the lead lap. But right outside, the 95 Paul Granada finishes 8th, 1 lap down. Logan Hartman 9th, 40 laps down. And rounding out your top 10 is the 76 of Jaden Lawson, 47 laps down.
And going into the rest of the field, it's just an 11-12 car field. There was Richard Mandonka finishes 50 laps behind the race leaders in 11th. Jackson Steiner finishes the race 55 laps down after a rough running over there. He looked in the 3rd and then wrecked and just couldn't get back up and finished the race there and had his run cut short. But what a win from Michael Kenner. He celebrates in victory lane, and that means we'll give him the interview, see what happened out there, and get his opinion on what happened. Michael Kenner, welcome to the KBRN Studios. You got a copy?
Sure.
Michael Kenner, you got a copy here?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Michael Kenner, congratulations on a great win here at Las Vegas. You dominated most of this running, and I really want to ask you, we were pretty much going crazy up in the booth over that last run between you, Blaze McKinney, and Colby Wells. Just tell us what happened over that last run and how you're able to stretch that out in that battle with Colby and Blaze.
Well, it helped that you can't really pass on the inside, but we were really fast. All 3 of us, we were the class of the field, and it was fun racing all 3 of them, or both of them.
Well, Michael, I gotta ask you, you were running high in the middle of the racetrack, pretty much utilizing that high line to your advantage, and it seems as though every time you were up there on the outside of a car, you seem to get the better run over these drivers. You think that your car was just set up a little bit more for that high lane, or you think you're just a little bit more comfortable running the high lane? Just tell us about that.
Well, the high line started coming in for really everyone after 1 lap in the run, and I utilized that more than everybody, and it worked out. It was just easy if you side drafted and then took advantage.
All right, Michael, well, before we let you go, and we're going to let you celebrate, especially here at the Sin City in Las Vegas, you got any sponsors you want to thank, any teams you want to thank for making this happen?
Well, I didn't get to run my team scheme, forgot to put it on, but I got to thank Nova for signing me and let me do great.
All right, Michael, we're going to let you celebrate your win, your first win of the season here in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series. We hope to see you next week at Phoenix Raceway, and what a great race for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Michael Kenner with a dominating performance, and he ends up with a checkered flag after tonight's event. We're going to go down to second place, give an interview with Jack Belsha. We'll give Charlie the command on that one.
And into the booth, Jack, you got a copy with us?
Yep.
Well, Jack, you finished yourself a pretty good second place finish, one of the faster cars in the field tonight. But I have to ask you, in that last green white checker, do you feel like you had anything for Michael? He was obviously a strong car all day, but do you think you could have done anything differently to try to get around him?
Down that back stretch with I think 2 to go or whatever, I probably shouldn't have gone down to his inside there, because really all he had to do was just pinch me and he would have gotten the run off of 4. But I mean, if I just sat in line behind him, I don't think I would have gotten my shot. So I just tried to go down to his inside. I thought that was my only shot there, and we just got too tight when he pinched me down there. So he did a good job defending, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, and obviously we saw a bit of long green flag runs. Do you think tire saving was important there? Because we had a long green flag run, I think about 40 laps, so we noticed you fell back a little bit. Do you think tire saving was kind of the name of the game tonight?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I'm happy that Akaja came out there because I knew I had a shot at it, but I didn't do a very good job of saving my tires. I know Blaze did a good job saving his tires, and obviously the front 2 were doing a good job saving their tires to stay up front. But I didn't do a good job. I usually don't do a good job on long runs with this package, but you know, hopefully tomorrow when that patch comes out, it'll help.
Well, Jack, we appreciate you coming out here tonight to Vegas race. We'll see you next week at Phoenix. But before we let you go, do you have any sponsors that you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just gotta thank FedEx, you guys for putting on the broadcast, Jaden for running the league, and everyone who comes to participates.
All right, well, we'll see you come next week. We wish you the best of luck.
Yep, thank you.
That was Jack Belsha signing himself out of the booth, and I think we have our final interview. I think we'll give this one to Kelan. We'll drag him in the booth here. Colby Wells.
Hey Colby, it's Kelan in the KBRN booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha.
You finished third today. You had a good car. You ran up front a lot. What did you need at the end to get around Kenner?
Multiple grooves. Hopefully they fix that tomorrow. But as long as the leader held the top, wasn't really very much you could do.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, you had a fast car. What'd you need to? I don't really know. What? Charlie, ask him.
Well, Colby, we had a few green flag runs there. Obviously, do you think tire saving was the name of the game? Because we saw Michael Kenner and Blaze McKinney do a pretty good job saving tires towards the end of that long green flag run. Do you think tire saving was the name of the game tonight?
Yeah, definitely. If we had a long run, if you didn't save tires, you're going to drop to the back. So definitely saving tires would have got you a very good spot if we went green the whole way.
All right. Well, Colby, we appreciate you coming out here tonight for the Las Vegas race. We'll see you come next week. But before we let you go, do you have any teams or sponsors that you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I got to thank you guys for broadcasting this. It was a pretty good race. But I got to thank TI Racing, Nashville Rooftop Bar Tours, and BK Paints for all they do for me and the team.
All right. Well, we'll see you come next week. But until then, we wish you the best of luck, man.
See you guys. Thank you.
That was Colby Wells signing outside the booth. And, yeah, I think that'll conclude our post-race interviews here. But just some closing thoughts here if Kenneth is still here. Well, Kelan, I thought it was a really good race. I really enjoyed it. And I think it definitely shows the mindset of these drivers and how aggressive they are. So I think this will pretty good image come the next few races of the season and the championship fight. So Kenneth, I have to ask, do you think we'll start to see the same kind of aggressiveness next week at Phoenix?
I think especially since it's a short track, we'll have closer proximity. These guys will continue to be closer to one another at a shorter track like Phoenix. So I think there's going to be more beating and banging. We're definitely not going to see the long run speed, the long run type of racing that we saw here. Of course, is a different track. But I have my eyes on race 5. That's at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and that'll be 60 laps over there, and also in the afternoon down at Atlanta. So that's going to be one of the things I'm looking for going down this schedule, and more of this 1.5 mile racing in this intermediate style of track, because that last green flag run that we had really showed how these guys really save the tires, how they usually at saving those tires, and completing that strategy works. Kelan?
Yeah, I think we'll see more aggressive racing next week. Yeah, like you said, they're going to be a lot closer, probably more on top of each other than they were tonight. But tire saving like today, it's really going to be tough to manage next week. They don't know if they're racing in the night or day. I think that was a poll. Right now, I think night's winning. So if it's at night, it won't be as slick. You'll have a little bit more grip, a little bit more to work with. But tires are still going to be important. You're going to have to save them. It'll be entertaining. I think we'll probably see some of the same guys running up front, and it'll be entertaining.
All right, well, if you want more coverage of the LWRC Cup Series, we'll have the coverage from round number 3. That'll be next week on Monday afternoon, just about 3 p.m. Eastern, I believe it'll happen. It'll be the race from Phoenix Raceway. That's going to be the first short track of the season. We're going to give all the coverage of that right here on KBRN. And if you want to tune in to more broadcasting on Monday night, we pretty much have a field Monday night full of broadcasting. After the Xfinity race, the real-life Xfinity race, we'll have the coverage of the iRacing Bungeon Lawn Care Series, race number 3, live from the Homestead Miami Speedway in Homestead, Florida. So for everyone here at KBRN, for all the drivers in LWRC, for the owners, the drivers, and everyone here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, for the guys here in the KBRN booth, for Charlie and Kelan, my name is Kenneth Bueno. We'll see you down in the desert, down in Phoenix Raceway next race.